All right, so here we are live once again. And, last week I had all those superpowers figures to open. And the week before that, I had all those Batman Forever McFarlane figures to open. And I don't really have a theme planned for this week, but I've got some cool stuff to open up anyway. We'll see what we get to. I don't really have a plan for what to do. By the way, I got this Wolverine shirt at Walmart the other day. I really like it. So yeah, I was looking for that one because I had actually seen it a few weeks back. But like what usually happens at Walmart is they sell out of all the T-shirts in my size, so then I have to wait for them to restock. It's like I just see a bunch of small, 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 medium, double extra large, triple extra large. Like, order more extra large shirts. That's all I'm saying. Like, those are the first ones to sell out. You need to be ordering more of those. So anyway, this is a first for this channel. I've done some vintage Batman unboxings on this channel before, but not from this particular line. This was called Legends of the Dark Knight. And what this was, let me just read the blurb on the back and explain what it was. From a horrible nightmare, Batman awakens to a twisted parallel world where the criminals are in total tyrannical control. In this apocalyptic vision of Gotham City, the villains are unimaginably deadly, and the Dark Knight finds himself surrounded. To fight back and regain control, he develops neural suit technology that acts as an integral part of his being, tapping into his thoughts and impulses and automatically reacting to danger without hesitation. Now, Batman has become a living, breathing weapon, and his adventures become Legends of the Dark Knight. So, I do have a few of these figures still. I had more of them back in the day, but they vanished under various circumstances. But the first wave, which is what this was from, had Neural Claw Batman with capture grip cape and massive razor claws. Spline Cape Batman with spiked assault cape and arm swords. Assault Gauntlet Batman, who looks like he just eats a constant diet of creatine, with neural pumped power and spike strike missile gloves. Dive Claw Robin, he's kind of creepy looking, with blast attack missile and power glide wings. Lethal Impact Bane with venom powered punch and stinger gauntlet. The Bane figure was really cool. And the Skywing Street Bike converts from ground cycle to air assault vehicle, includes Batman figure. And you can see there wasn't really a vanilla Batman in this wave. There was one that came up later, which reminded me a lot of Kelly Jones artwork. And the one I have is, of course, the Scarecrow. Twister Strike Scarecrow, as he's called. Look at the front of the bubble here. They actually have like a little bat signal embossed into it. Isn't that cool? So this package is in really rough shape. You can see it's all banged up, and the bubble actually is not in that bad a shape. Just looking at the front of the bubble, but the card looks like somebody sat on it at some point or something, and you can see it's got creases in it. So I'm not going to feel too bad about opening this up. This is one I got for pretty cheap on eBay. I think I paid like $15 for it shipped, and it's a pretty impressive looking figure. The main reason I bought this figure is because I keep waiting for McFarlane to put out a multiverse Scarecrow, and like they put out all these weird variants of the Scarecrow, and I just want kind of like a basic Scarecrow. I want the guy with the hat and a scythe, and I don't kind of look like this. This is what I think of the Scarecrow is looking like. Now I do have handy the actual Neural Claw Batman figure. I don't know where his neural claws are, but I always thought those are kind of goofy. They were just kind of like these red extra hands that clamped onto his forearms or whatever. But I didn't really care for those. I did like the gliding wings. I thought those were pretty cool. They can kind of flip up a little bit, although they don't go above his head, so it's kind of strange. The sculpt isn't bad. The color scheme isn't bad. I think maybe this one was a little predictive of Batman Beyond, actually, with the red glider wings as part of the suit, the red bat emblem. I like the metallic blue color. It's not like a traditional Batman color scheme, but it is mostly black and blue, which I feel like are traditional Batman colors. And the red's something a little different, but I think it's pretty cool. So I liked this figure quite a bit, which is probably why I held on to that one and not really any of the other ones. I know I held on to a couple of other ones, and I don't know where they are. Like, I know I have Batgirl, for example, but I don't know where she is. I don't know what happened to her. I found her wings, but like a lot of my stuff got mixed up while I was moving. So anyway, I mainly brought him over here so we can do a size comparison. He's quite a bit taller than this, which was supposed to be. This is like the height of Batman in this line, pretty much. So we can compare him. But I think he might actually scale better with the McFarlane multiverse. So I remembered he was quite tall. Remember, these are supposed to be like nightmarish versions of our Batman villains. Now, my favorite figure of this line, which I believe was in the second wave, not pictured on the back here, is Man-Bat. And the Man-Bat figure was really impressive. I think it's probably still my favorite Man-Bat figure that I've ever owned to date. So I'll do a video talking about him at some point if I can figure out what I did with him. I know I had him over here at the new place, but I can't for the life of me think about where I would have put him. So, but I'm sure I'll run across him while I'm cleaning up the room, which I need to do this week. So, yeah. Anyway, the artwork on the package is really nice. We got like an image of Batman, which I believe is illustrated by Simon Bisley. It does look a lot like his style. Now, the previous comic book inspired Batman line, if you can call it that, was Legends of Batman, not to be confused with Legends of the Dark Knight. But it was mostly an Elseworlds inspired line, and it was the vanilla Batman in that was very heavily inspired by Bisley's version of Batman. So you know that they had that character in mind. And if this isn't Bisley actually doing the artwork here, it's someone who did a very close copy. I do know that some of the other comic book lines that used actual comic book artists, like John Bogdano, did the artwork for the Total Justice line, the piece with the Justice League at the top. Actually, I can show you that right here. We get these two out of the way. I got this Black Lightning figure, so you can see it's John Bogdano drawing the Justice League there. Pretty cool. I need to open him up at some point, don't I? All right, so let's go ahead without further ado and open them up. You see, it's Premium Collector Series. Now, this was a line that I believe was done as an answer to Todd McFarlane's Spawn figures at the time. Oh, another interesting thing about this is you can compare it to the standard size of Kenner's action figure packages at the time. It is the same size card, although the bubble obviously is much bigger. But yeah, Todd McFarlane had just started his own toy company to make toys based on his Spawn comic book, and kind of turned the toy industry on its head a little bit, and you know, had some larger action figures with more articulation and more detailed sculpts, more detailed paint, that kind of thing. Now, this guy is still a Kenner figure through and through, but he does have some influence of the Todd father in here. But I'll talk a little bit about that as we examine this figure. So the scythe is kind of stuck in here in an interesting way. It looks like they just kind of stabbed it into the package in this slot, but since it's barbed, it's kind of catching on it a little bit. I'm sure I can get it out, but it's just a little more difficult than it is. I kind of bent it a little bit, but I was able to bend it back into shape. So he's got this large scythe. It's pretty impressive looking. Set that aside for now. I'm gonna put this back together with the bubble. Now, one of the features that the Scarecrow has, much like the original Superpowers Darkseid figure I talked about, is he actually does have a light pipe in the back of his head, and the Batman the Animated Series version of Scarecrow had this as well. and that does make his eyes glow eerily. But unfortunately, since the light pipe is on the back of his head instead of the top of his head, it's kind of difficult to show you without a light. My light comes from this direction, but trust me, it works. It just they probably should have put the light pipe on the top of the head rather than at the back. But yeah, his eyes do light up. Now the articulation on this guy is not so great. It could have been better. So he's kind of like, because he's the Scarecrow, he's kind of pigeon-toed a little bit here. And I wish they had made it so like there was a boot cut and you could kind of pose that a little bit, so you wouldn't necessarily have to have him as pigeon-toed, but that is a stylistic choice that they put on him. So let's talk about his articulation real quick. So the Scarecrow's arms are only articulated to move up and down this way. They don't move, like normal action figure arms. They only raise up at the sides, which is a strange choice. And I know why they did this. I'm going to get to this in a second. But yeah. So oh man, this is gonna be fun. All right. So but yeah, his arms raise up about that far. There's no wrist articulation, no elbow articulation. So this is still a 5 points of articulation figure. It doesn't have the knee joints or the elbow joints that McFarlane was starting to put onto his figure. It does have a waist articulation though, although you can see that's part of the action feature. We'll get to that in a second. So anyway, the head does rotate all the way around, although it does kind of catch a little bit, like the brim of his hat kind of catches on his shoulders somewhat. Legs can kick forward about that far and kick backwards about that far, so he can do the splits no problem. And that is about the extent of his articulation. Let's go ahead and put the scythe in his hand. There's more to talk about with that. So let's see instructions on the bottom of the package. So it does have instructions on the bottom of the package. So, and it says what you should do is raise both arms, pull up on torso, then manually spin for free spinning action. Push torso back together to hold it in place. Expose back of the hat to the light to make the figure's eyes glow. So yeah. So what you're supposed to do is kind of pull it loose like that, and then you just kind of swing him around there, and he's supposed to try to kill you. So he can kind of swing at Batman like that kind of thing. So it's a really impressive looking sculpt, and they made him really nice and creepy. He's got like this big old laughing grin on his face. Unfortunately, like the paint detail is where this figure lacks. Like the sculpt is great, but the paint detail is a little bit lacking. So most of the torso and arms are kind of an unpainted, slightly metallic yellow plastic, like an orangish sort of yellow you can see. And I believe this is supposed to look somewhat like wood or like straw that's like, woven into muscles. It's an interesting look for the Scarecrow. And like I said, he's about vanilla looking enough. He looks enough like the Scarecrow. I can recognize him as being that character. And then, for clothes, he's got these tattered, dark brown, almost black sort of jacket and shorts over tan pants, and then the dark brown boots. So he's got the kind of typical color scheme you think of for the Scarecrow, mostly earth tones, kind of orangey yellows and browns and tans. That's about what you imagine the Scarecrow as doing. It would have looked a lot nicer though, I think, if they'd put a little bit of a wash over the yellow parts and kind of brought out some of that detail, because it's got some really nice sculpted details to it. It's just like, they didn't really do a whole lot to it to bring out the paint job. But the worst part, I think, is the face, as far as that goes, which you can see the face is kind of painted in this kind of beige color. It's lighter than the rest of the tan on his outfit, but and it does have kind of a burlap sort of texture painted onto it. So it is clearly supposed to be, like a Scarecrow type mask, although it might be like part of him at this point. Like they say about the the new Batman Adventures design of the Scarecrow. What year did these come out again? Oh, I forget what year it was. 1996. All right, so this would have been before the new Batman Adventures. So I don't think it was really inspired by that costume, but I think it was more of a, great minds think alike sort of thing, where they were kind of trying to do like a. It doesn't seem like the sort of thing like where the series would have been inspired by this either, because they would have come out too close together. But all those jagged teeth in there, that's another thing. Like if they had to give just the whole inside of the mouth is painted in white, and I think if they had have like, given it a little bit of a wash to it, that would have brought out some of these details. It's a great sculpt. I love the sculpt. It's just the paint details are a little lacking. But you can see what I'm talking about if we stand him next to the Batman in this line. I got both their feet lined up together. And he's a good, at least, not counting the bat ears, probably about 2 inches taller than Batman. So he's really tall. So I think he might actually scale better. This is what I was hoping for. He might actually scale better with actual McFarlane Batman. So they look pretty cool together, don't they? And this might tide me over until finally McFarlane gives me a nice, creepy, modern style Scarecrow. Hopefully they will. They've done a few Scarecrows in the multiverse line, but they're like these kind of weird variants that I guess they come with like video games or something, or the Batman Begins version of the Scarecrow that was like impossible to find anyway. Like I never even saw it in the stores, and the only one that I saw in the stores was like the Jokerized version, and I hate Jokerized figures. They're so stupid. so so yeah, I wasn't really interested in that. But nah, I think he'll look fine on my shelf until I can get something a little more. McFarlane can do something a little more McFarlane-ish. I don't know, something that'll go with those figures pretty well. But like I said, I think he actually scales pretty decently. Probably better with that than the figure line he was made for. If you take into account he's kind of crouchy, then he's still like probably a little bit taller than the McFarlane Batman even. So cool line of figures, like especially the villains. Like some of the Batman variants, of course, would get kind of goofy because Kenner gonna Kenner. So they do have plenty of Batman variants in there where you're just like, what are they thinking with this? Like that Batman is just like so bulky, and he's got like a red cowl for some reason, and this other one that's like all gold and silver. You know, like I said, they did eventually do a vanilla Batman that was pretty cool, and this Batman I thought was pretty cool. So there's some decent Batman figures in there also, but honestly, most of the good figures in this line were the villains, and that Batgirl figure was pretty sweet. She was wearing like a bikini or something. So I don't know why they put. Well, I think I know why they put Batgirl in a bikini. It was a daring choice. It was like heavy metal kind of thing, but yeah, they didn't really care too much for staying. Excuse me, time for me to get to sleep. They didn't really care too much for staying on model with the characters in that movie. They had a vanilla Batman. It would have been nice if they had a vanilla Robin too, but they just had this one with the weird outfit with the bat wings in there, because Robin apparently needs bat wings. So, but he's not Batboy. He's not Nightwing. He's Robin. So, whatever. Anyway, that's pretty much it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you like and subscribe. All the fun YouTube stuff down below. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think about the Scarecrow, both the character in general and this figure specifically. And if you want to see me do more Legends of the Dark Knight unboxings, then let me know in the comments. I'd be interested in going back and revisiting this line, and maybe opening some more figures, here and there. Like I said, I really like that Man Bat figure. So if I find him, while I'm cleaning up my room, I'll probably do a video just talking about him, just because he's so awesome. So anyway, that's it for this episode. Hope you enjoyed it. We will talk to you next time. Bye.